He spilled champagne on the guest's purple velvet suit. His manager screamed, "You're fired!" But then the guest looked up, smiled, and said 5 words. "Actually, he works for me now." Beverly Hilton Hotel, Los Angeles, Grand Ballroom. Saturday evening, February 2015, 9:34 p.m. Music Cares Charity Gala, pre-Grammy fundraiser. The ballroom was packed with celebrities, music executives, millionaires, tuxedos, designer gowns, $500 champagne bottles everywhere. Julian Reyes, 22, Filipino-American, exhausted, wore an ill-fitting waiter tuxedo borrowed from the catering company. Scuffed black shoes. Only pair he owned. Name tag, Julian R., server. Julian was a Berkeley College dropout. Couldn't afford tuition after his dad, a session musician, died of cancer last year. Now he worked 3 jobs: catering waiter, Guitar Center stockboy, Uber driver weekends. He slept in his 2001 Honda Civic parked behind a 7-Eleven in Burbank. His manager, Trent, 38, power-hungry, grabbed him by the shoulder. "Reyes, table 14 needs champagne refills. And don't look at the guests. Don't talk to them. You're invisible. Got it?" "Yes, sir." Julian grabbed a tray of champagne flutes. His hands were shaking. He hadn't eaten since yesterday. He approached table 14. Seated there, music executives in Armani suits, a famous producer in sunglasses indoors, and at the far end, a quiet man in a purple velvet suit, sitting alone, not talking to anyone. The man sketched something in a small notebook. Didn't look up when Julian arrived. Julian served the executives first. They ignored him. He was furniture. He reached the man in purple last. "Champagne, sir?" The man didn't look up, just nodded. Julian poured. Then it happened. Someone bumped Julian from behind, another waiter rushing past. Julian stumbled. The champagne bottle tipped. $500 champagne spilled all over the purple velvet suit. Silence. Everyone at table 14 turned. Julian's face went white. "Oh, my God! Oh, my God! Sir, I'm so sorry." Trent ran over, screaming. "What did you do? Do you know who that is?" Julian, terrified. I didn't see him. Someone pushed me." "I don't care. You're fired. Get your stuff and get out." The man in purple finally looked up. His face was calm, almost amused. He dabbed his suit with a napkin. "It's fine. It was an accident." Trent, frantic. "Mr. Nelson, I am so sorry. This idiot will be removed immediately." Julian froze. "Mr. Nelson, Prince. He just spilled champagne on Prince." Julian felt like he was going to pass out. Prince stood, inspected his suit. The stain was obvious. He looked at Julian. "You okay?" Julian, shaking. Yes, sir. I'm so sorry. I'll pay for the dry cleaning. Don't worry about it." Trent grabbed Julian's arm. "Come on, you're done here." Prince's voice cut through, quiet but firm. "Wait." Trent stopped. Prince looked at Julian's name tag, then at his hands, noticed the calluses on his fingertips. From playing guitar. "You play?" Julian, confused. What?" Prince gestured to Julian's hands. "Guitar. You play guitar?" Yeah. I used to. I was studying at Berkeley, but I couldn't afford—" "Why'd you stop?" Julian's voice cracked. "My dad died. He was a session guitarist. He was my teacher. After he passed, I couldn't pay tuition, so I dropped out." Prince nodded slowly. "What's your name?" "Julian Reyes." Prince pulled out his phone, typed something, then looked at Trent. "This kid doesn't work for you anymore." Trent, confused. "Excuse me? You fired him, so he's unemployed, which means I can hire him." The entire table went silent. Julian. I don't understand." Prince looked at him. "I need a guitar tech, someone who knows instruments, someone who's hungry." "You interested?" Julian thought he was hallucinating. You're offering me a job? Yeah. Starts Monday. Paisley Park. $60,000 a year, plus room and board if you need it. Julian's knees buckled. He grabbed the table to steady himself. Sir, I spilled champagne on you. Why would you? Because you apologized. You took responsibility. And because your hands have musician calluses, that means you still practice, even though you can't afford school. That's discipline. I need that. Prince extended his hand. So, you in? Julian, tears streaming down his face. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. They shook hands. The ballroom had gone completely silent. Everyone was watching. Farrell, sitting 3 tables over, stood up and started applauding. Then Alicia Keys, then John Legend, then the entire ballroom. Standing ovation. Trent looked like he wanted to die. Prince leaned in to Julian. You got a place to stay tonight? Julian, embarrassed. I sleep in my car. Prince nodded. Not anymore. Come on. Prince led Julian out of the ballroom, through the hotel lobby. Julian was still in shock. I don't understand. Why me? You could hire anyone. I hire people who need it, not people who want it. There's a difference. They reached the parking lot. Prince's driver waited. Black Mercedes S-Class. Prince opened the door. Get in. You're staying at a hotel tonight. On me. Tomorrow we'll get you moved into Paisley Park. Julian, I can't accept this. I can't. You can, and you will, because I'm not doing this for you. Julian, confused. What? Prince's expression softened. Your dad, the session guitarist. What was his name? Carlos. Carlos Reyes. Prince nodded slowly. I knew a Carlos Reyes. Played on a session for me in 1998. Album recording. He was good. Really good. Is that him? Julian's eyes went wide. You worked with my dad? If it's the same Carlos, yeah. He played a solo on one of my tracks. I never forgot it. 1 take. Perfect. I asked him to tour with me, but he said he had a kid at home. Said he didn't want to miss his son growing up. Julian started sobbing. That's him. That's my dad. Prince put a hand on Julian's shoulder. Then I'm not helping you. I'm repaying a debt to your father. He chose you over his career. That's rare in this business. So now I'm going to make sure his sacrifice wasn't for nothing. Julian couldn't speak, just cried. Prince guided him into the car. Get some rest. Monday, your new life starts. The car pulled away from the Beverly Hilton. Julian looked out the window. At the ballroom. At the life he was leaving behind. The life of sleeping in cars. Of 3 jobs. Of endless struggle. He thought about his father. About Carlos choosing him over touring with Prince. And now Prince was choosing him. Not because he deserved it, because his father had. 3 months later, May 2015. Julian Reyes lived at Paisley Park, not as a guest, as family. He worked as Prince's guitar tech, learning production, sitting in on recording sessions, watching a genius work. Every day felt like a dream. He had a room, a bed, food, stability. But more than that, he had purpose. Prince didn't just give him a job. Prince taught him how to hear the difference between good and great, how to trust his instincts, how to honor the music. One night, Julian was in Studio A, restringing a vintage Stratocaster. Prince walked in. You eat yet? Not yet. Come on, kitchen. They sat at the Paisley Park kitchen table. Prince made scrambled eggs. Julian still couldn't believe this was his life. Can I ask you something? Julian said. Yeah. Why do you do this? Help people like me? Prince flipped the eggs. Because someone helped me once, when I was broke, when I was nobody, and I promised myself if I ever made it, I'd do the same. He plated the eggs, sat down. Your dad, Carlos, he could have toured with me, made good money, built a career, but he chose you. That's love. Julian's eyes filled. I miss him every day. No, but he's still here, in your hands, in your music, in the choices you make. Prince pushed the plate toward him. Eat. Then I want you to play me something he taught you. An hour later, they were back in Studio A. Prince handed Julian a guitar. Play me something your dad wrote. Julian hesitated. I don't know if I... Play. Julian took a breath, positioned his fingers, and played. A flamenco piece Carlos had written called Mi Hijo, My Son. It was beautiful, melancholic, full of longing and love. When Julian finished, Prince was quiet for a long time. Then, record that. I want it on my next album. Julian. What? No, I can't. You can, and you will. Your dad's music deserves to be heard. Prince stood, walked to the control board. We're doing this now, while it's fresh, while the emotion is still there. Julian recorded Mi Hijo that night. One take, just like his father. Perfect. April 21st, 2016. Julian was in his room at Paisley Park when he heard the screaming. He ran downstairs. Security, paramedics, chaos. Prince was gone. 57 years old, dead. Julian collapsed. Security caught him. He'd only worked for Prince for 14 months. But Prince had changed his entire life. The world mourned, but Julian felt like he'd lost a father. Again. 2 weeks later, Paisley Park held a public memorial. Thousands attended. The world watched. Julian was asked to perform. He almost said no. How could he play when his heart was shattered? But then he remembered Prince's words. Your dad's music deserves to be heard. Julian walked onto the stage. The same stage where Prince had performed countless times. He held the guitar Prince had given him, the vintage Stratocaster. He spoke into the microphone, his voice shaking. Prince didn't just give me a job. He gave me back my father. He told me Carlos chose me over his career, and that I had to honor that choice by becoming the musician my dad knew I could be. He positioned his fingers on the guitar. This is Mi Hijo. My father wrote it. Prince recorded it with me. I'm playing it now for both of them. He played. Every note carried grief. Every phrase carried love. 18 million people watched the broadcast. When Julian finished, the silence lasted 10 seconds. Then applause, tears, recognition. After the memorial, reporters approached him. What will you do now? Julian looked at Paisley Park. I'll finish what Prince started. I'll make sure my father's sacrifice wasn't for nothing, and I'll help other kids who can't afford to chase their dreams. 1 year later, 2017, Julian released his debut album, Purple Inheritance. Track 1, Mi Hijo, for Carlos and Prince. The album was raw, honest, full of pain and hope. It went platinum. Critics called it the most authentic debut in years. But Julian didn't care about the reviews. He cared about what came next. He donated 50% of the album's proceeds to create the Reyes Nelson Music Scholarship, a fund to help music students who couldn't afford tuition. The scholarship application asked one question. If you could no longer pursue music, what would you lose? Julian reviewed every application himself. He always chose the ones who answered everything. The first recipient was a 19-year-old girl from Minneapolis. Her father had died of cancer. She'd dropped out of music school. Her name was Maria. Julian called her personally. Maria, you've been selected for the Reyes Nelson Scholarship. Full tuition, 4 years, no strings attached. Maria started crying. Why me? Because I was you. Because someone believed in me when I had nothing, and now it's my turn to believe in you. Over the next 5 years, the scholarship helped 200 students. Each one received a letter with their acceptance. This scholarship exists because of 2 men who believed in second chances. Carlos Reyes, who chose his son over his career, and Prince Rogers Nelson, who chose to honor that sacrifice by changing one waiter's life forever. Now it's your turn. Make them proud. In 2021, Julian returned to the Beverly Hilton, the same ballroom where he'd spilled champagne, where his life had changed. He was there for a Music Cares benefit, but this time as a guest, as an artist. A young waiter approached his table, nervous, hands shaking. The waiter poured water, spilled a few drops on the tablecloth. "I'm so sorry, sir." Julian smiled. "It's okay. Accidents happen." The waiter had calluses on his fingers. "Guitar player." Julian pulled out a business card, wrote something on the back. "What's your name?" "David, sir." "David, you play guitar?" David's eyes went wide. "How did you—" Julian gestured to David's hands. "Your fingers. You practice a lot." Yeah, I was at Berkeley, but I had to drop out. Couldn't afford it." Julian handed him the card. "Call this number Monday morning. Ask for Maria. She runs my scholarship foundation. Tell her Julian sent you." David stared at the card. "I don't understand." "You will. Someone did this for me once. Now I'm doing it for you. That's how it works." David started crying. Right there in the ballroom, Julian stood, put a hand on David's shoulder. "Your life is about to change. Be ready." He walked away. Just like Prince had walked away that night in 2015, leaving behind a transformed life, a new future, the cycle continuing. Years later, David would tell this story to another struggling musician, and that musician would tell it to another, and another, because that's what Prince taught them. Not just music, not just technique, but the most important lesson. When you've been lifted up, you reach back down. You find someone who's where you were, and you change their life. Not because they deserve it, because someone did it for you. Julian still has the purple velvet suit, the one he spilled champagne on. Prince gave it to him before he died. Keep it. Reminder of where you started. It hangs in Julian's studio, behind glass, next to his father's guitar, two symbols, two men who changed his life, Carlos Reyes, who chose his son over his dreams, Prince Rogers Nelson, who honored that choice by giving the son his dreams back, and Julian Reyes, who spends every day making sure their sacrifices meant something. One scholarship, one waiter, one spilled drink at a time, the purple inheritance, forever.